And welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
Co-host Ness.
And today, I think we should make our special announcement that the Over the Glass podcast is now a part of the Hockey Podcast Network.
Yay! In case people who aren't watching
Yay!
see. But if you
Cheers.
are, you can see all of the new fun thingies going on all around our little windows here. Right here. Hockey Podcast Network logo right at the bottom. This is so weird. Our logo here in the middle. We are getting sponsored by DraftKings currently. We'll touch on that later. But yeah, this feels very official.
Exciting time for us. There's a development that we had over the summer, and we also took a long, much needed break. But we got our, I don't want to say ducks in a row because I don't like the Ducks, but I guess that's the first thing that came to my mind. So I'm going to say we got our ducks in the row. We got ourselves all situated, and we're very thankful for the Hockey Podcast Network for inviting us into their family. So throughout the season, we will be doing a number of ad reads as part of our weekly routine here on the podcast. But other than that, we just wanted to let everyone know that we are now part of that network, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah. I don't know what's to come, but like this is exciting for us. So
For sure. We're very excited for this new chapter in our podcast journey. Other than that, everything else will more or less remain the same. On this platform, we will still be crying about the Sharks. We'll still be talking about diversity, inclusion, and all the stuff that you tune in to see, hear, whatever, however you get our content. We're very appreciative for you joining us today. I guess we'll start out with our once beloved Tomas.
You're trying to find the right words.
Listen, like it's still a little difficult for me to adjust to our precious Fun Must Be Always Hurdle, who had requested a trade. I have no ill feelings towards him doing that. We've talked about this in the past numerous times. My stance on it is he really should have never signed that 8-year contract with us. It was very strange for him to do that. The final year that Doug Wilson was the GM of this team, and then Mike Greer, takes on all of this stuff, and now he's on a journey to create this team in the way that he envisions success. And unfortunately, with that success means that we tore it all down. So it really does not make sense to have Tomas, who right now is holding on to the prime of his career, and his objective is not to be part of a rebuild. He wants to go and get the cup. So I always kind of felt like this was coming down the line. I mean, we saw with Erik Karlsson, he got traded to the Pens. He wanted the trade. Brent Burns was one of the first trades that we made when Mike Greer took over. So you kind of saw it, the writing on the wall. Even though if you talk to Tomas, of course, he's going to sing praises while he was with the Sharks and say that he wants to be here to succeed and help the team. Of course, he's going to say all these things. And I'm not saying that he's lying or something, but you can kind of see that that's not like, if I were in his shoes, I would feel the same way. I would want to do exactly what he did. And it's a little bittersweet that he ends up going to the Vegas Golden Knights. And for the most part, I pretty much avoid all their games unless we have to play them.
Right.
But he did have an exclusive with Shang recently. We did just play the Vegas Golden Knights the other day. there were a number of good things that the Sharks did, but we continue to be on our losing streak, and that's, I think, unfortunately, the bigger take home here is that they can't seem to get a win. But
historically, you can't get a win 2 seasons in a row or whatever. That's making history in the wrong record books.
but it did bring some tears to my eyes reading this article. It's just knowing Hurdle's feelings and knowing that he didn't do it because he like hates the team. It's just got he needs to think about his time in the NHL is going to be very limited at a certain point. He at the end of the day, you don't come into this league to be like, yeah, I just want to help the team. I just want to help the team. It's like you want to get the cup. Like if you can help the team and get a cup, it's like win-win. But we're going in a different direction right now. When he came in to the league and we were on a different course. We were way more successful during those early years. He spent, was it over a decade with us? He was a homegrown. I remember like the clips where he's back in like the Czech Republic, like talking about how he sleeps with the pigs. Like, we had a lot of great memories with him, but now he's in a different part of his career. We're in a different part of our journey with the organization. But it was really nice to just kind of see these moments where he talked about, he still kind of checks in with the team. He still wants us to be successful, but at the same time, it's like he had to make that choice for his career that he needed to move on. And I think like one of the things that they talked about during the Vegas Sharks broadcast last night, they brought up, the Hurdle trade, but how we ended up getting Askarov, which is something we really need. We need a young goaltender who's going to be ideal for our timeline. And so while it is sad to see such a fan favorite go, I actually really like how it kind of turned out. I mean, did I necessarily want to retain a certain amount of his salary to give to a divisional rival? No, but when you kind of look at everything, you try not to just be like, I'm upset about it. And, you take it from such a emotional place where it's like, oh, well, I didn't want him to go, so I'm upset about that. If you kind of just look at it from a more objective perspective, I think I actually really like how everything kind of turned out.
Yeah, for sure. We've touched on this before, but it was it's what the team needed, as sad as it was to part ways with some of our favorite guys in the Erik Karlsson and Tomas Hertl. It's what the team needed. The rebuild. We're starting to see a little bit of what the future holds. Not in the current team, as they're not doing so well, but again, we'll touch on this in a little bit, but the Barracuda are doing really well. The youngsters are giving us fans some hope to look forward to. But this specific interview, I think, was very heartwarming in the sense that he literally admitted that the Sharks are his number one team still, except for when they're playing against the Knights, because obviously that's his team now. But it's like, me as a fan, I get attached to these guys, obviously, especially the Tomas Hertls of the league, because he's such a like wholesome guy. He's just having fun and doing his thing. One of the best personalities that I've seen in the league. I forgot where I was going with this. Get attached to them. Oh, and then you see them go, and then it's like, yeah, you follow them for a little while, but then you kind of just like, all right, let them do their thing. They're not a part of the team that I follow anymore, whatever it is. And so I was starting to do that with Hertl, even though he was one of my favorites. And when this interview came out, I was like, oh, right, I love you a lot, actually.
Downward spiral like, all over again. Thanks for that.
Right. It's like, I don't even know this guy. Why do I have these feelings? What's happening? Yeah, it's a
And
cute interview.
yeah, and what we were talking about right before we hopped on for the game last night, there was a specific play late in the third where Hurdle, and it was actually weird to when our broadcast would say Hurdle, and I would be a little like, what? I'd get a little disoriented,
He's not
and
on the
I'd
team
remind
anymore.
myself, like, Hurdle on Vegas, Hurdle on Vegas. Like, it was weird. I kept
Yeah.
hearing his name, and then it would, like, strike me as odd. But he had this play late in the game where he's coming into the zone, and he drop passes it to whoever's on his line, and I immediately was just like, stop using your amazing skills against us. I can't watch it. This is torture.
Yeah.
And then seeing him go into the celebration, it's like, nope. I don't want any of this. Nope.
So what alternate universe are we living in?
Mhm. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I could kind of segue from that and talk about the game last night. Like I said, I was half watching, half listening to it. Like there were some things to take away that were good. I want to say at least, even though they started out really terribly, they gave up 3 goals like real quickly, and I think they ended the first period with like a handful of shots on goal, and like Vegas was already up by like 20 something, and I'm like, woof, like that is bad. But then they kind of settled down a little bit in the second. I mean, still not as much as we wanted them to. The final score was 7-3,
3.
I will say. Yeah. But one thing that I did like was that they at least didn't seem like they were giving up. I mean, obviously Vegas is going to be one of the more competitive teams out in the West, and going into this game, I wasn't expecting that they'd be able to hold them to like a couple of goals. Like, I think that'd be very impressive. So it wasn't like, oh, well, that's a shocker. It was like, yeah, this is gonna be a painful game. But I did like that it seemed, despite how uneven the game was, they still seemed to go out there, still put in a good effort, a good fighting effort, especially getting like those 3 goals. Like, there's obviously still a ton they need to work on, and it,
Mhm.
and if this were to happen against a more evenly matched team, some team that's lower in the standings, I think I'd be a little more alarmed. But since it is
Hmm.
against one of the better teams in our conference, like, that's what I was kind of looking for throughout the game. Like, how do you respond when you're just like going against Goliath, you know? And I felt like, especially the I really like Wenberg game. Like, I think the acquisitions, and we've talked about this before, like the acquisitions in the off season, I really like who Greer picked up. I feel like last season, we picked up Hoffman, we picked up, God, he's the only one that really comes to mind. Who else did we pick up that was kind of like struggle bus? Oh, Zadina. Like, we picked up some of these guys where you understood that we're
Yeah.
going to give them a spot like on the team to work on their game because they're kind of going through something in their career and they need a reset. And then from there, it also benefits us that we could then potentially flip them to a cup contender and get something for our future. And I really didn't feel like a lot of those guys outside of Duclair kind of like benefited us. It was just more like, wow, you really need to work on your game. like, like, but this season with like Toffoli, with Wenberg, with Wallman, like, I feel like even if we don't keep those guys, like, we're in a much better spot, not only to help uh bring up our younger guys, but later down the line we could flip them and potentially get more beneficial results for us. And that's kind of what I saw with Wenberg in particular last night. He just kind of has that sort of like Nico Sturm, like he knows his role. He's a very all around solid player, but he's not necessarily the guy that you're going to have like on the top line that's going to be like leading the charge with getting all the goals and stuff. But he will be able to do the things that you need him to do. Like he was winning faceoffs to give us a chance on power plays. He does the extra work to kind of, get the puck down into the zone, like all the stuff that you need to give yourself a chance so that your star guys, like a Toffoli, like a Granlund, like the up and coming, like Eklund and Zetterlund, and then the example for, a Smith and when Celebrini comes back in. So like all of it, all the building blocks are there. It's just right now we can't seem to click to get the W at the end of the day.
Yeah. So to your point, it's nice to see these guys who do the I don't know what to call it, like the grinders and the guys who kind of are doing the right things to keep the team kind of afloat. Like these are important parts to play, but it sucks that it's not really what you see on the score sheet. And as like as well as these guys were playing last night, you're saying, it's not reflected on the 7-3 end score. And so fans are only seeing the end result and being like, why does this team suck so much if we made all these improvements? And like I get the frustration because I still am not able to watch games currently, so I'm literally just checking scores right now, and I'm like, "What are they doing? Why is it so bad?" But I mean, yeah, it is going to take time with the chemistry. The new coach again. The injuries. The one of our main pieces that we were. I think that I don't know if they were going to be super reliant on him, but he was supposed to play a pretty decent role in the team. Is injured for another week, I think, in Celebrini. Like, I think as Sharks fans, we've kind of learned to stay patient, but we're starting to run out of it a little bit because 2 seasons in a row, you're on a 9-game losing streak. It's not exactly fun to experience as a fan, especially when this season they're getting our hopes up. The future is teal. Like, you get all these good acquisitions, and you're supposed to, like, the very, very first game of the season, you're seeing the improvements and the progress, and it's like, yes, you can see where this team is headed, and yet look where they are.
Yeah. Like I saw the other day in passing on the Sharks subreddit, there was someone who posted just about asking for people's thoughts on how you stay tuned in to the Sharks while all this is happening. And I just kind of skimmed through it. Like I get if someone doesn't want to tune in, I'm not gonna, try to convince them. It's 3+ hours of your time. And if you tune in and you feel like this is not worth your time, then yeah, okay, it's not worth your time. I like one of the things that kind of resonated with me with the skimming through the comments is that I just love hockey.
Right.
I love watching the game. Like, yes, I would like the team that I root for to win the game and not look like hot garbage. But, at the same time, and I don't know how much longer this is going to be able to continue to float our boat. But was it like last week or the week before that, we were talking about how, well, they looked so much better than last season. I mean, last season was a bit of a blur at this point for me, but um I still feel positive about, yeah, it's not where we would like them to be 9 games into the season, but like we just finished talking about, the acquisitions, the personnel is there. And I And I just feel like, unfortunately, it's going to take a couple more games. I mean, our next game at the time of this recording is going to be against Utah, and Utah's going through a bit of a change in their organization with the move from Arizona, with the types of changes that the new management has made, because they're like, we need to make a competitive team. So they didn't. I want to say that there were a number of trades in the offseason, and they're no longer, building up the farm, so to speak, as their primary focus. They're like, we need to bring a winning team, because they've got a brand new fan base in a way in Utah, to market this team to. But they've been kind of going through their own struggles, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Sharks go against that team. And if we lose that game, well, we're on a back-to-back, because the following day we're going to go against the Kings. And so that's going to be brutal. And then we're going to go against the Hawks. It's just kind of like in our same situation with like the rebuild. Like outside of being a huge fan of hockey on every level, like I can understand it being really, really frustrating and unwatchable to tune into the Sharks day in and day out. And I guess the only thing I can say to bring some positivity is that I really do feel like they're going to turn it around. Like they have to. They have no other choice. They need to. And like I said, the personnel is there. It's just, for whatever reason, it's just not clicking just yet. But I'm still very hopeful. I'm not thinking we have made mistakes here and there, because I don't really know what else this team could have done. And hopefully we won't find ourselves in a situation like the Sabres, like what's another team that's going through this right now? In some ways, like the Columbus Blue Jackets organization. Ever since they were created, I think they've only made the playoffs once. So I mean, not to say like, oh, well, at least we're doing better than this organization, and we should continue to be optimistic, but it could be hell of a lot worse. Where, yeah, this rebuild should have started how many years back, but in our short time, with it only being really starting as of last season, more or less, like, I don't know, guys, we're a little spoiled. Like, like we're pretty spoiled right now.
Yeah. I have a question for you. How do you feel about Ferraro's comments after the game yesterday, where he was like, we're going to get a win against Utah?
Ooh. Okay, here, incoming Ferraro hat trick, I guess. I mean, I guess I like that he, you could just be like, yeah, it really sucks. But he's like, nope, not gonna sit in that boat and dwell about it. Like, he's like, no, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get a win. And as one of the assistant captains, like, I like that motivation now, being very like determined to say we're gonna get the win against Utah. I'm like, ooh, but I like it. Yeah, we're gonna get a win against Utah specifically. Why not?
I want to see if it doesn't happen, what he has to say after, though. Like, I don't have high hopes. Obviously, I want this team to win, but like, from what I've been seeing here and there, because again, I'm not watching games currently, it doesn't feel like a win is coming yet. But that's just from my perspective, where I am not able to watch the game, so I'm not seeing the stuff that you're seeing with like, the team starting to click in certain points, or guys doing the right things, but not to like to complete whatever plays to be able to score or defend properly. But that's just me.
One of the things that I was talking about the other day, and this goes again to like the little things. Like if you're looking at it, if you're just tuning in and you don't really follow, like an Eklund, like when we picked him up, like how long he's been with the team, like things like that. Like I'm sure at some point we've talked about really liking Eklund's game. And I could, just from the first time we got to see him in Teal to where he is now, that gives me hope that we're closer to a win, because Eklund is not the same Eklund that we had the previous season, is not the same one that we had when he first got to play in Teal. Like his progression has impressed me, because I was more like, I didn't think like, oh, his ceiling is not as high as we think it is. It's more, oh, the situation that we're in, that I don't know if he's like, I'm worried that he's going to be pushed into a position that he won't be able, like we've talked about with like Ferraro. He was in a situation where we're beginning this rebuild and he's having to up his game while holding the fort down on the blue line, all more or less all on his own, because he's got a bunch of guys under him now who need him as the mentor. And I was worried that Eklund and these other guys that are in his shoes, up and coming, we're looking at them as like, you're going to be the ones taking the reins and moving this team in the right direction. I was worried that he was going to have a sort of hiccup progression like Ferraro, and I have not really seen that with Eklund. Like even with these losing games, he's still going out there. He's still making certain moves where I'm like, okay, Eklund, okay,
I see you.
like yeah, like he's doing this stuff. I'm like, yes, and like I don't know how long that's gonna go before he starts feeling, before the losing streak kind of starts weighing down on him. But we have to remember that these guys this is their life, Like we think about it during the 3 hours we're watching and going, oh man, like if I were there, this is how I would feel. But we wouldn't really know what it's like to be out there like them. We're just there for the couple hours and being like, woof, like I'd want to be off the ice if I'm losing by, 6-3, like we would take it much differently than these guys who are able, they've been in this situation time and time again. They know how to kind of get into that second, third gear. And that's kind of what I see with someone like Eklund. And I'm sure there's other guys on the team like Granlund last night. Like he was making some plays even late in the third. It's like they know it's an even higher uphill battle, yet they're like, you know what? It's not over yet. We can still make a difference, blah, 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 whatever. And so that's kind of the stuff that keeps me motivated. So I don't know if that's something people really want to, depending on how devoted you want to be to the team, if that's really another level that you want to get into to keep you motivated to watching the Sharks. But that's kind of what motivates me to keep watching them, because I just love seeing that. And I'm like, oh, that gives me hope, because you can see, even if it's not across the board for the Sharks yet, if you can't really see that as a whole, just seeing the players that you watched 2-3 years ago and where they are now, you're like, oh, we're getting closer. So I don't know.
You know what else can help with fan devotion and stuff? I wanna switch over to this clip you shared with Wallman, who is becoming a new favorite of mine, because he is one of the guys with a personality. We love our personalities here. I guess during warm-ups yesterday.
This was the game against not this past game, but the one before that.
Okay, well, earlier this week, my bad. He found a fan in the crowd wearing a Wallman jersey when he played for the Red Wings. And he pointed at the kid, told him to take off his jersey, to head over to the bench so he could sign it for him. This kid was so happy. What a guy. Look at him. Look at his face. He's like, oh my God, he signed it for me.
I would have been freaking out. Would have been legit freaking out. That's so cool. He's freaking out. Like if you watch it, he's having a moment, and I love everything about it.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
He's having an out of body experience. Just the look on his face, like his friends are like, "Let me record this because you don't actually know what's happening right now.
Right.
You're gonna have
you
to
have no
watch
time to
this in a
process
week."
it.
Yeah. He's just like can't see anything. It's just it's too much information, too much excitement.
The biggest
So
smile on his face. I
yeah,
love this. Love to see it.
adorable.
But yeah, this team, despite the hardships that they're going through, seem to be able to still find time to have fun. This morning, so we record Sundays, guys. If you are new listening to this morning, Shang tweeted that guys are having fun. William Eklund and Jake Wallman were play fighting, trying to pull each other's sweaters over their head. Which, again, Jake Wallman with the personality. Eklund also a guy who seems to really enjoy being around these guys playing this game. You know, they're not taking the losses too hard, which is nice to see because, you know, it's not easy for them to be losing all the time. And, you know, these guys don't like to lose. These guys are very competitive. They talk about it all the time. They do not like to lose. But it's nice that they don't get stuck in those feelings of, man, this sucks. We suck. Like this, everything, like life is the worst. They're still finding time to have these little playful moments. And like I think this is good for like locker room vibes too. You know, like yes, we're losing, but the locker room is sticking together. We don't hate each other. We're still able to get along through the adversity. So, just another reason to love this team.
Yeah, and I think that's another, like, just like you pointed out, good for the locker room vibes, because if the veterans are coming in and letting it show that they're still carrying the weight from the game before, like obviously they're going to go through whatever footage they need to with the coaching staff so they can learn from the certain mistakes that they made in the previous game. But there's a time for that, and then okay, we've done that, now we're moving forward. Because if you're continue to allow it to drag on and the vets show that they're hanging on to it, then they're showing the younger guys that's how you should act. You should allow it to weigh on you. And then how does that help the entire team? Like at the end of the day, it's like we've got to learn from our mistakes, but then we also got to start moving forward and also having a positive environment where it's not like, if you were to look at this and not think that there's that sort of stuff with the coaching staff going on, where they're not going to show like, oh, here's everyone sitting in the coaching room looking through tape. Like, we're not going to show that. We want to show the positive stuff that's happening with the Sharks. And this is something that will help motivate the fans. Obviously, good spots for the positivity that they're showing the younger guys, that they can still feel this way and still, like not to make it seem like they're not taking it seriously.
Right.
And so I think that's really good. And then in more positive stuff, like just in Bay Area sports in general, there's a lot of like not so great stuff going on with our other local teams. But every now and then I've had this conversation with a number of my other sports fans that after we're done talking about all the woes of Bay Area sports, then I go, but look at our Barracuda. We
Right.
are second in our division, and we're one game back from the leader, who's Calgary's affiliate. So Calgary's affiliate has played 7 games. We played 6, but we only have 1 loss, knock on wood. And I just pulled up the stats for the team. Colin Graff is leading the charge with 9 points in 6 games. Then we have our awesome short king, Luca Cognoni, with 7 points. And then Philip Beested, Anthony Vincent, and on and on. There's a lot of scoring across the board for our young guys. And that's pretty exciting to see, especially since the last 2 games I caught a little bit, mostly like the highlights, but it was against Vegas Junior and they kicked Vegas Junior ass. And I was like, yes, yes.
I think my favorite part of this graphic is the Cuda in second place in the standings and the Henderson Silver Knights all the way at the bottom.
Gorgeous.
plus Ontario is right above them, so like all of our legit rivals that, like, you know, there's San Diego, Ontario, and then Henderson are all on the bottom. Wonder if we can keep that going while the Cuda are up, because this is all we got going for us, guys. Bay Area is struggling in sports.
The future is teal. It's just the future's not. It's a little more
It's
opaque right now.
It's still developing.
Teal. It's not as saturated with teal right now.
Speaking of Bay Area sports, did Bay FC make the playoffs?
We will know in next weekend, because that's the final. I believe we will know next weekend, and I don't know what scenario. All I know is that's their final game, and then I think moving forward, then they go into the equivalent of their playoffs. So hopefully we're on the cusp of the AFC in their inaugural season making the playoffs. And if they make the playoffs, I'm assuming it's going to be like how they get seeded in hockey. I don't know. But if it is, then we're going to go against the Pride, who I don't even know if they got a loss this season.
But at least they would have made the playoffs.
I mean, it's been exciting watching that team and learning more about soccer and just, you know, just living in that moment. So if they make the playoffs, awesome. And then however far they get, I'm just along for the ride. So
right.
Okay, and now we're going to take a little break to talk about the sponsor of this episode, which is DraftKings. The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 24-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sports app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sports app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York 467369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved. All right, we're moving towards the rest of the league. So if you're not a Sharks fan, we're done with the Sharks segment. We can move on to some other stuff. What do you tell us about this thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I just came across this.
No, wait, the Tage Thompson thing.
Yeah.
I saw some ranking, and I didn't know that there was something that happened that week that related to this. So why don't you tell us what this was about?
I just literally came across this, and this is insane to me. So Tage Thompson, he's a defenseman, right?
No, he's a forward.
Oh, just kidding. What do I know? I don't watch hockey. Tage Thompson, who plays for the Sabres, that's as far as I know about this kid, hit a slap shot. Did he score? Wait, let me watch this clip real
Yes,
quick.
he did.
So he hits this slap shot, scores on Alex Lyon, playing against the Red Wings. Dude hits 104.69 miles an hour on this puck. Can you imagine? I would duck out of the way. I'm like, you can score. I'm not trying to get hit with that.
And he's right there above the face-off dot. So it's not even like it's coming from the point.
Right. It's hella close. The dude didn't flinch at all.
I've taken just a wrister or something from close range into my shin. And granted, I was using shin guards that I had since I was a teenager. And this was when in my first or second season back to playing. So I don't know if it was one part that and maybe the proximity, but all I remember is I felt it, didn't really think too much of it until the game was ended. We went into the locker room, I took off my shin guard, and there was a bruise. So that is like the closest I guess I can relate to potentially getting hit with over 100-mile like the
Slapper.
times when I've agreed to sub in a division that is far beyond my capacity, like those pucks are scary.
Right. So, okay. So he didn't score. Someone got it off the rebound and scored.
Oh, okay.
But he hit Lyon right in his pads.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so, I don't know who to be more impressed by, Thompson or Lyon. He took that like a champ.
It's impressive the reaction time that these pros are capable of. Because like I just mentioned, when I've played beyond a division that I should have any reason to be playing in, the part that's the scariest is when you can no longer see the puck. You're just like, geez, I hope I like don't get hit somewhere where you could cause damage to me. But just the fact that I couldn't even react to it because I lost sight of the puck. Like I can't even track it. Like that's scary. The fact that Alex can see it.
Right.
Like at what speed is he seeing it at? Is he seeing it at the 104 mile per hour? Or
he just closed his eyes and hope for the best.
It's like when you're watching baseball and they have, you know, the stats of the pitch. Yeah. Like, I guess I actually think that's more impressive that they can they can throw at around 90 miles per hour with their own damn arm.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same type of scenario, then you have the batter who's reacting
right
to the ball coming at them. It's crazy. But I mean, that just goes to show, I mean, these guys have sports. You know, their level is just so impressively high.
I for sure am impressed. Just wanted to talk That's about crazy. That because that is really crazy. Another fun note, as much as I hate this team, and I will not I will not give them praise, except for this is such
But
a
if
fun
you
idea.
happen to find yourself there and you're hungry, you're like, okay, this is kind of cute.
This is actually really cool. We all know how I feel about the Vegas Golden Knights. I do not like to give them compliments, but this is well deserved. Whoever thought of this, I don't even know if they're the first team to do this, but this is the first time I'm seeing it. But they serve chicken tenders and fries in a little Zamboni. This is like the cutest thing. I hate this team. Why can't we have good ideas like this? I
I'm
mean, I
sure
guess
we
okay.
do. You just haven't really seen them.
The Sharks have a popcorn bucket of the shark head that the players skate out of, but that's like a popcorn bucket. This is a food tray.
Oh,
This
okay,
is
but our
Zamboni.
Zambonis are sharks, though.
Right. So why not do something with that?
But our Zambonis are sharks.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I mean, but like imagine you could get your tenders in the shark Zamboni. Like that'd be sick. Why didn't we think of that first? Thanks a lot,
I don't know.
Vegas. Anyways, this is fun. I just want to point that out in case you find yourself, any of you, going to Vegas to watch a game. You can eat tendies out of a Zamboni.
If you can even get into a Vegas game,
True.
I think it was 4 years ago I was trying to get tickets, and I would have spent it, but then I didn't want to go by myself, and my teammates didn't want to go with me. But it was well above like $120 for like some nosebleeds.
That's crazy.
But I wanted to go for the two of my best friends went in like the couple years that they first were there, and they had a great time. They said, Vegas really does put on a good show. So I wanted to go, and it's also for the experience of it. But like I said, I want to go by myself at the time. But their tickets are expensive from the
Makes
last time I
sense.
looked.
Well, some people got money, I don't, but if you do, go for it. Okay. Last segment of our
And now we're going to talk about
goalie.
we're laughing with them, okay? Just going to start off by saying we're going to laugh, but we're laughing with them. Earlier in the week, so I don't remember if I just came across this or I was looking for something. I must have just come across it and been like, oh, that's why my stats for Solars are affecting my team this week. So the Leafs are in a bit of a bigger struggle bus, I want to say. I don't really follow this team, but I'm kind of guessing that when Matthews really isn't like doing Matthew things, as in scoring like crazy, and the Leafs having a really good regular season, because we know they're really good in the regular season. That's not the problem. But I guess we got to keep in mind that they did go through a coaching change. So, like us right now, they're trying to do new things. But this game against, what is it? The Bolts?
Lightning. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was Point. I'm not going to look up the Bolts roster right now. Some dude came in nearly all alone, faced one-on-one with Anthony Stolars. Anthony Stolars gets the initial save, but in comes one of the defensemen who just catches an edge, and the puck is coming out of the blue paint, only to get shoved in with the defenseman
into the goal. It's the worst luck.
Just like Stolars looks behind him, is just like, wow.
I'm just so upset.
I just remember sharing this with one of my hockey friends, and I said, I can laugh because my team is supposed to suck.
Right. I'm like,
Oh my god.
are these goofy type of things happening to the Sharks currently? I'd hope not.
I haven't seen anything as goofy as this yet. I'm sure we're gonna get a couple of them this season, but yeah, that's I'm like, yep, it's Leafs in a nutshell right now, just sabotaging themselves.
Boy.
Oh, you want to talk about the Pens goalie?
Yeah.
Thing?
So I found this one. Oh, what happened to the comments? So who is this goalie? I don't know. 39. 39? Listen, I don't follow the Pens. I
It's
don't know who wears what number.
either Nedeljkovic or
Oh,
Bloomquist.
it's Nedeljkovic. I remember. Okay, so
Okay.
Ned is what the fans call him. He was in goal against the Canucks, looks like. And before I read comments and read the context of everything happening, I was like, what is he doing? So this clip I found is him literally just slamming the goal onto the ice as the puck is in play behind the net. And again, without context, it's just like it looks like he's frustrated that maybe they're losing. He wants to shut the goal down. Like I don't know, but with context, I read that the goal was actually already messed up, like it was already lifted, and the refs hadn't called the play dead yet, and so the Canucks could have scored, but like the goal is not in place and it would have been a whole thing. And so he got really frustrated and shut the net down, or like, yeah, he slammed it down. But I don't know. This was just a silly thing to come across at first, because it's like, it reminds me of like Askarov's Selly when he closed the net, like, you know, closed for business type thing.
In not so great goalie news, I've just been watching this on the side again because I'm still confused how it ended up in the net. I want to say I was trying to go through some of the comments. Maybe someone could help us out. I don't know if someone who's listening to this can clarify this for us, but Jake Allen in their matchup against, I want to say this is the Bolts, whatever
Yeah, something
team.
about the Bolts.
Yeah, something. Bolts are just messing up everyone's week. Apparently, um, the Bolts were actually, I believe, on the PK, and the face-off was actually outside of the offensive zone, and the Bolts won it back to their defenseman, and naturally they're going to shoot it down the ice. Whatever ended up happening, Jake Allen was in the impression that it was going to rim around the boards or go behind the net, whatever. So he was like, do, 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 do. I'm going to go do some gardening behind my net, only to, it must have hit someone. I mean, I can see that the ref reacted. So maybe it hit the ref and then, changed angle and went right into the net, because Allen is just staring down someone.
He's so upset.
He's looking at the ref and he's got it going, what the hell? So I've got to say it must be it hit the ref somehow.
I don't know.
And I mean,
it's rigged.
like I don't want to be that person to be like, we need to do something about that. But it's like, what are they gonna be able to do? Like they can't predict that you're gonna aim it at them. They're trying their best to get out of the way.
Right.
But the reaction time to, I don't know, if it hit someone's stick, like no way they would have. I don't know. Maybe it hit someone's stick, because I also saw someone's stick go up on
It's
the
really
New
hard to
Jersey
see.
Devils. Yeah. Either way.
What luck.
I was just like, man. I was just like, what are you doing back there, bro? But
Goalie things.
I don't know. And then in conclusion, I want to get your reaction on this video.
Okay. Do you want to give context for listeners?
Okay, so this morning I saw this was like on a bigger platform. It got tweeted out, and originally, let me see if I can get the correct source for this. This is a music video by I want to say a Swiss rapper named Cliphon, who is rapping about Roman Josi.
Okay, there's something about this video that reminds me of another one, and I can't remember what it was, but I remember seeing a music video done at an ice rink. The rapper, I'm pretty sure they were rappers, but the artist and whoever dudes he was with were wearing Rangers jerseys, and they were riding the Zamboni. Very similar shots to what I'm seeing in this one, and so that's what came to mind when I first started seeing this clip. Like, obviously, I don't know what this guy is rapping about other than Roman Josi because that's the title of the song, but I can't. It's just I can't take this super seriously. This is really goofy, and the way he's singing it, Roman Josi.
I was initially confused until I started looking up, okay, who recorded this and everything, because at first glance I wasn't sure if this was something from the Predators.
Right.
And because this guy has a hoodie on and glasses, I was like, is that Roman Josi? I couldn't tell who it was. So I thought this was like some clever Pred social media thing, only to find out it's some guy out in, I want to say, I tried to look up this dude's just information in general. I couldn't really find anything, but I want to say this person is from Switzerland, and yes, they're a known rapper there. But yeah, he's rapping. They're in an ice rink, and there's other people. I kind of got distracted on like my second watch through, because there's two guys in the background. One's got a New York Rangers hat, and the other one has a Raiders hat, and I'm like,
right.
Interesting. But they're at an ice rink, and it goes from just a bunch of people being out on the ice, and then they're in a locker room, and he's got Roman Josi's jersey in the background. He just like rapping about him and saying stuff that I don't know what he's saying. And I'm kind of hoping that the Predators catch on to this and we get more information about it, because I'm very curious.
Right. It's just they're out there standing on the ice and like waving around Yossi's jersey. I don't know how I'm supposed to take this seriously.
I mean, like, I guess if I were some pro hockey player, I guess it could be seen as a compliment. I don't know. I still want to know what they're saying.
Right. Silly things.
But yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, if you look it up on YouTube, it's by Clipham, Klipan, and the song is Josi, Roman Josi.
Sounds like a love
Go
letter.
check it out. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm really curious. I tried to ask Elena what they're saying, and then she asked her partner, because he's native speaker, and he also couldn't understand what they were saying. So I think maybe we're gonna get some help with connections, but I don't know. We may never know. I tried to look up if there's lyrics to this song up, couldn't find anything. So all we know is that he is referencing Roman Josi, and I imagine it is from a positive angle.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, but it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Other
weird.
than that, for the Sharks, hopefully with this new week coming up with several games, even though it's back to back, and I don't really know if it's probably not like a good schedule for them.
Right.
So hopefully we'll see a win next week.
Hopefully, we'll get 2 wins. One against Utah, one against the Hawks. Calling it now, manifesting.
Okay.
I
Well, Mayor
won't bet on it.
Ferraro called it, so
Right.
in Ferraro we trust, I guess.
I won't bet on it, but if you want to, use DraftKings. I'm just kidding. Oh, okay, that's all we got.
All right. I think that's it for us this week. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I am your host, Jay.
And I'm Ness. Catch us next week. Bye.
Bye.